by the most anti-free speech, pro-censorship group in the United States today. It is a group that is bought and paid for by friends and supporters of the Clintons, and as you may have seen, the radical leftist group Media Matters for America. They launched yet another smear campaign against me to try to get me thrown off the air and get rid of all my advertisers. But just like the numerous other attempts, it's not working, thanks in large part to all of you and for reacting the way you did this weekend. Now, before I explain how this all went down, I want to let you know exactly who we're dealing with. Now, conservative voices in this country for years, we have been facing a clear and present danger. This is an unprecedented act that is happening in this country, and it has to do with people right now. If you support this president, if you're a conservative, if you simply refuse to parrot like I do the Democratic talking points like everybody else and the left wing destroy Trump mainstream media, you're a target. Anyone who dares to speak out, anyone that dares to tell the truth about President Trump and what he's accomplishing, what he wants to accomplish, is a target. And leftists and this group want to shut down our voices. Now, this radical leftist group, Media Matters for America, they have been and continue to lead this effort. They've been doing this for years. This organization is funded by the likes of George Soros and other leftists, millionaires and billionaires, most of whom we don't even know. They want censorship in America. They literally are paying an army of people to listen to every conservative show in the country, every single day, every thought, every word, every sentence on the airways. Then they purposely twist, lie, distort, propagandize, and weaponize whatever is said, what other people say, because they want to silence every conservative voice in the country. This is a dangerous time. They have been doing this somewhat successfully for years, and now it's only getting worse. It is straight out of the Alinsky playbook. Isolate, target, destroy one person at a time. It is the very definition of what I call liberal fascism. And just for a second, I want you to imagine this. Imagine if they're successful. Okay, people like me, Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, Glenn Beck, Judge Jeanine Pirro, and everybody on Fox, the entire Fox News network is gone. In their perfect world, the voices of the people I just listed would be stifled and stopped, and you wouldn't be allowed to hear their voices. In their world, there would be no Fox News channel. In their world, there would be no dissent, no difference of opinion, no free exchange of ideas. There would be just one singular voice to reflect their radical left-wing worldview. That's how dangerous it is. Now, Media Matters and their paid pack of hitmen, their hired guns, they want to shred America's Constitution as it's currently configured, and they want their leftist ideology to be the law of the land. They do not believe in freedom of speech. Now, as for the incident with Keurig Coffee this weekend, I want to once again thank all of you for your support. It blew me away. But for now, please, please stop destroying your coffee machines. As I've been saying, Keurig, they're a victim in this. They were attacked. They were bombarded by the phony, fake, moral outrage machine that is Media Matters and their highly effective, well-financed targeting machine. They use all sorts of evil tactics. They use bot programming. They scare companies into overreacting. And that is exactly, sadly, what happened with Keurig this weekend. Media Matters, well, they did what they always do. And guess what? An employee for Keurig who works in social media, who's not used to dealing with these extreme tactics, sadly took the bait and capitulated to the pressure. Now, the CEO, to his credit, of Keurig, has since apologized to all of his employees today for taking sides in an email that was obtained by the Washington Post. It reads in part this: the fact is, our consumer demographics match well with live news programming, which is why we advertise on nearly all cable news channels, ranging from MSNBC to Fox News to CNN, all of which will continue. However, given the dynamic nature of news, we always need to evaluate that programming environment on a real-time basis. And it continues. The decision to publicly communicate our programming decision via our Twitter account was highly unusual. This gave the appearance of taking sides in an emotionally charged debate that escalated on Twitter and beyond over the weekend, which was not our intent. I want you to know the decision to communicate our short-term media actions on Twitter was done outside of company protocols. Clearly, this is an unacceptable situation that requires an overhaul of our issues response and external communications policies and the introduction of safeguards to ensure this never happens again. Our company and brand and reputations are too valuable to put at risk in this matter. I'm going to say tonight, I believe the CEO. I believe his sincerity here. And guess what? Conservatives drink coffee, liberals drink coffee, libertarians drink coffee, socialists drink coffee. Everyone drinks coffee. And he advertises on all news networks. This should be non-political. As of now, today, before this ever happened this weekend, I have 5 Keurig machines, 5 of them. I have never supported a boycott in my life because I know what they're about. They're about censorship. And by the way, I'm not going to start tonight. I am the strongest supporter of freedom of speech on this program over the years. You've always heard me say, I don't like Bill Maher. I don't even like him a little bit. Or Stephen Colbert. I don't like what they say. But guess what? You ultimately have the power. Turn the channel. Guess what? You can not watch them. You don't have to listen to any radio show, watch any TV show you don't want to watch. But don't attack their advertisers as a way to silence what they're trying to say. And what Keurig did was a mistake, and the CEO admitted it. Now, this weekend, I must admit, it was disheartening to learn that Keurig, that literally they were sucked in by this machine known as Media Matters. But you, our viewers, unbeknownst to me, you fought back. So tonight, now, please, I'm calling for a ceasefire here. I humbly appreciate your support, but I'm asking you to not smash your Keurig. And I must admit, these videos this weekend, I watched and I laughed. They are hysterical. Watch this.
This is what I think of you, Keurig.
All of that was done to support my ability to continue to do this show every night. I am beyond humbled. Now, as I said, I own 5 Keurigs. Please stop destroying yours. And by the way, for the people who did, later this week I have a big announcement. I will be giving away 500 coffee makers. Now, I'll decide on the brand that I'll be giving away in the coming days based on how things unfold. Now, the reason that Media Matters exploited Keurig was in my response to my coverage of the accusations against Judge Roy Moore and my radio interview that we did with him on Friday. We also played Friday night right here on this program. Now, on that radio show, on Thursday, I had mentioned Thursday, Media Matters latched on to one thing I said about the Judge Roy Moore allegations. In almost 3 hours of talking about the allegations, and at one point, for one split second, there was slight ambiguity that I immediately cleared up. Predictably, Media Matters ignored the other 2+ hours of programming, sprung into action, proceeded to purposely twist, distort my comments, then spread lies all over social media about what I said. Now, before I play for you what I said, it's important to understand who we're dealing with here. Who is Media Matters? Well, a guy by the name of Angelo Carusone. He is the president of Media Matters for America. Now, his anti-free speech, his pro-censorship group, is trying to silence every conservative voice in this country. Now, there's a website dedicated, look at it right there, to exposing who is this guy that wants to silence every conservative voice. Who is Angelo Carusone? Well, there's a website. You can look it up for yourself. It's called angelocarusone.com. You can see it up on your screen. It is full of vile, vicious comments that he even admits that he made. If you look at his Twitter account, now we have not independently verified the website, but I encourage you to check it out for yourself. Let's put it this way. If any conservative made the remarks that are found on that website, angelocarusone.com, well, Angelo Carusone would be calling for a boycott of himself. Check it out. And I want to be crystal clear. like I have been this entire time when it comes to Judge Roy Moore. If the allegations, these serious allegations against him are true, as I have been saying again and again and again and again, it is beyond disgusting. It is beyond reprehensible. I said that to Judge Moore directly when I interviewed him on Friday. And like I've been saying, I completely understand. I am completely sympathetic to why women wait to tell their stories of sexual harassment. People that have genuinely been traumatized, experienced evil, experienced the most painful thing anyone could ever think of. And with all of that in mind, here's just some of what I was saying about Judge Moore on radio Thursday that Media Matters never wants you to listen to. Listen to this.
We all find any allegation of abuse of women repugnant. All of us. And unacceptable. This is a very hard topic because for a lot of reasons, I can understand women that don't speak. I find it repugnant, anybody that abuses a woman this way. Absolutely repugnant. Because we all hate anybody that would abuse any woman. Because it's so offensive. That this is such a horrific act of evil violence and so traumatizes people that they live in fear. They live in fear of, how they don't want people to know this horrible thing happened to them. So they bottle it up. They keep it up inside and then fear that they're not going to be believed, fear that they're going to be blamed. Fear, I think there's legitimate reasons why, and personal reasons why women wait.
And here's what I said. This is the first night of coverage on TV. That very night that they're using to distort, smear, slander, boycott, and get me fired. Watch this. A woman is alleging to the Washington Post that back in 1979, when she was 14 years old, she had a sexual encounter, actually two of them, with then 32-year-old Roy Moore. Three other women are also accusing Moore of sexual misconduct back to the 1970s while they were teenagers. In the case of Judge Moore, if it's true, he should step aside and leave the Senate race. Everyone would agree. Everybody. A 32-year-old man pursuing a 14-year-old girl is disgusting. That is something we should all agree on. This should transcend politics. These are very serious allegations. Of course, they have to be investigated to the fullest extent. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is it any wonder groups like Media Matters, they never shared any of what I said? They took out of context, twisted, diced, and spliced, all for political partisan reasons. It's because they would rather take out of context to smear, slander, and shut me up. They've tried this for many years against many conservatives. Then on Friday, I actually was the only one that interviewed Judge Roy Moore about the allegations. And just like I said, it is important to listen to all sides before we rush to judgment. I believe in the presumption of innocence of every single American, because time and again, we have seen the media and others, like President Obama, he's a great example, rush to judgment and get big issues completely wrong. Look at the Duke Lacrosse case. Look at the Cambridge police. Look at Ferguson, Missouri, hands up, don't shoot. Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman. And I learned this with Richard Jewell in Atlanta. Media rushes to judgment, damages and destroys people's lives. And I learned my lesson a long time ago. Wait until all the facts come out, do my research, talk to the people involved before I make a decision. That, to me, is fundamentally fair. I did this with all of Bill Clinton's accusers. I sat down with them. I looked them in the eye. I asked them what happened. They told their stories. And on Friday, I did exactly the same thing with Judge Roy Moore. I went point by point through the allegations, every single allegation against him. I challenged him on every single one, and I let him respond because this is too serious to play games with. Watch this. Listen to this.
Would it be unusual for you as a 32-year-old guy to have dated a woman as young as 17? That would be a, 15-year difference, or a girl 18. Do you remember dating girls that young at that time?
Not generally, no.
If any Senate candidate who was 32 at the time had done this to a 14-year-old girl, to me, it's disgusting. To me, it would be despicable. To me, that is a predator. Would you agree with me? No such person who ever does that should ever be in the United States Senate?
Of course.
Let's go back to one more question, because I didn't understand this. If you're 32 and you do date, again, this is different, 17 or 18-year-old, that's a pretty big gap for a pretty young girl. Is that something you did when you were dating? I'm not talking about the 14-year-old in that specific allegation. Would it be normal behavior back in those days for you to date a girl that's 17 or 18?
No, not normal.
If my daughter is 17, my daughter's 16 years old. If she's 17 or 18, I don't want her dating a 32-year-old.
I wouldn't either.
And you can say unequivocally you never dated anybody that was in their late teens like that when you were 32?
It would have been out of my customary behavior. That's right.
In other words, you don't recall ever dating any girl that young when you were that old?
I've said no.
And you think that's inappropriate, too? That's what you're saying?
Inappropriate, yes.
I asked every question. I got widespread praise. Too serious a topic. And then on TV, again, not covered by this leftist group that is the #1 censorship group in the country. Then on Friday night, I said this. As I said last night, these are very serious accusations. And if they are true, Moore should leave that Senate race. Now, everyone agrees a 32-year-old man pursuing a 14-year-old girl is despicable and beyond disgusting. All right, what I said there is exactly right. These are very serious allegations against Judge Roy Moore. They need to be handled and treated that way, which is exactly what I did. And unlike many in the liberal mainstream media, we actually care about truth. I said that every day. We care about facts. We care about getting it right. And that's what I was trying to find out before reaching a conclusion. Many rush to judgment in the media and elsewhere. In fact, and Media Matters will never tell you this, liberal members of the media actually praised my interview with Judge Moore. Look at some of the tweets. Fair is fair. Hannity is not letting Moore off the hook here. At Sean Hannity conducting a meticulous, tough interview with Roy Moore, who's coming across as unconvincing and dismissive of very serious allegations. Hannity's actually doing a pretty effective job of making Moore address specific allegations in the Washington Post piece. Had doubts, but at Sean Hannity, not doing a bad job pressing Moore on all allegations. Now, when the media, the left-wing media, they don't like me, says I did a good job, okay, it's probably a grand slam. It's probably winning the Stanley Cup. But Media Matters never reported those facts, what I said. This is so important. If you want conservative voices to remain, it shows you how low they go to silence a conservative voice. This is the atmosphere that we work in, every conservative on radio and television. This is so important. This is my big takeaway from tonight's monologue. Unlike a lot of the sheep in the Destroy Trump mainstream media, we here on this program, I am open about my support of the president, much of his agenda. We're willing to give him a fair shake. Unlike many in the media, on this show, we don't rush to judgment without all the facts. And I will never rush to judgment. And because I believe, and I will never apologize for believing in the presumption of innocence, the allegations against Judge Roy Moore are very serious. We need truth. They need to be investigated. The voters in Alabama deserve the truth before they decide who to cast their ballots for. And as I said Friday, if that means moving back the election, then so be it, whatever it takes. And if these allegations are true, Judge Moore needs to step aside. Also, one more thing. A day of reckoning is now headed in the Clintons' direction because all of their shenanigans, their abuse of women, in the case of Bill Clinton over the years, her taking money from countries that abuse women, kill gays and lesbians, and persecute Christians and Jews. Now things you see are changing in the country. And all of those that made excuses and covered up for the Clintons all these years, they will have to answer some serious questions in the days to come. When we come back, Geraldo Rivera, Rebecca Rose Woodland, Judge Jeanine Pirro will join us. Plus, Donald Trump Jr. tonight responds to a report that he communicated with WikiLeaks during the election. We have the exchange. And later, you won't believe what award Colin Kaepernick was given on this busy, breaking Monday News Night. And welcome back to Hannity. So Donald Trump Jr. has now tonight released private messages that he had with WikiLeaks during the 2016 election. All of them. Now, that's after a report came out earlier that he, quote, had communicated with the group in a series of tweets. Trump Jr. produced the entire chain of messages with WikiLeaks. Now, in Trump Jr.'s first correspondence with WikiLeaks, he thanked the group for giving him a heads up on an anti-Trump super PAC that was about to launch. In a separate exchange, WikiLeaks urged Trump Jr. to comment on a story that Hillary Clinton wanted to kill WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange with a drone strike, which Trump Jr. said he already commented on. Trump Jr. added that it is now amazing how Clinton gets away with saying the type of stuff. Trump Jr. then asked WikiLeaks about an upcoming leak he was reading about. Oh, he released it all. That's it? Joining us now with reaction to that and other breaking news, we have investigative journalist Sarah Carter, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett. All right, Sarah, I'll get to your breaking news in a second. I read that and I said, Don Jr. did nothing wrong. Nothing.
It's not a crime to communicate with a foreign national, including a Russian. It's not a crime to talk to them, as he did in the infamous Trump Tower meeting. He said, I'll ask around, to one comment. To another, he said, I've already talked about that. All of these are completely innocuous. If he had asked for something of value or received something of value.
I've been reading you're going to drop something.
Right.
He said when. That's it?
Right.
That's it? Compared to with a dossier?
If there's an exchange of money or value, that is a crime.
That obviously didn't happen.
No, but what did happen is that the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC paid millions of dollars to foreign nationals for the salacious Trump dossier. That's a crime, and it's also a crime to have failed to report it properly. That's two crimes they committed. Donald Trump Jr.'s tweets, no crime at all.
All right, Sarah, let's go into your article today and the breaking news that, in fact, we reported this 2 Fridays ago. You reported it as well, that, in fact, Jeff Sessions did not recuse himself from Uranium One and these other deals, and he may now appoint a special prosecutor, something we have said has been needed a long time. Finally, hopefully.
Well, it's incredible news, Sean, because now what we know for certain is that for a while now, the Department of Justice has been looking into all of these allegations, and not just Uranium One, but the Clinton Foundation, leaks out of the FBI, and the unmasking of Americans. These are huge subjects that we've been discussing here on the show, I mean, all year long. And now what we know is that they've been looking into it all year long as well. And these are congressional criminal referrals, which means that the Department of Justice now takes that one step further and goes to the FBI and says, look, can you look into this? What information can we find out to build cases? Is there something here? And now, as we know tonight...
How long your headline, congressional referrals spark DOJ investigations like Uranium One and the Clinton Foundation. Okay. There were requests a long time ago. Jim Jordan and what's his name, Congressman
Goodlatte.
No, from Florida, Gates, this week wrote a letter. Jeff, do your job, or.
See, or it appears that he had been doing his job. It's just that they're not discussing it publicly. And a lot of this has to do with, if you go back to former FBI Director James Comey, and this is what some of the sources have been telling me. He was chided for coming out and speaking publicly about ongoing investigations when he hadn't taken that one step further and gone to the Attorney General, which is what he should have done. So what they're trying to say is, look, although we're not talking about this publicly, we're doing our job. We've been working on these. The FBI is now involved in this. We are looking at the evidence. We are building up these cases. And if necessary, a